How can you explore while you unwind from the school year? We're helping you with some tools and resources that can keep the ideas flowing without burning you out over the summer.
Welcome to the DIESOL podcast, where we focus on developing innovation in English as a second or other language. I'm Brent Warner, professor of ESL at Irvine Valley College, and I'm here with Ixchel.
The
Shal.
ultimate Turing test. Ishal.
All right, so Ishal, we were joking again about how bad the autocorrectors are at finding and fixing your name or spelling it correctly. So yes, maybe it's a Turing test, except no humans can spell your name either.
This is true. This is
So,
true.
so again, we might not know when we're talking to AI at any time in the future. How are you doing?
I have a new mic.
Yes, you do have a
After
new
after
microphone.
months and months of complaining about my sound,
Oh, it's been
I decided, oh, Brent's going to complain about my sound, so I should get a new mic. So I did.
Yeah. Okay. So for those, we don't talk about this on the show, but I always complain about your microphone. So it's like clicky and buzzy and all of these things. And we often have to like pause and then go, wait, hold on a second. It's coming through too much. Like you had to get throw your phone like into the other room so that there wasn't like wireless interference. So everything sounds great. And then of course, as soon as you do that, now I have my headphones broken. So hopefully the audio sounds good today. But yeah, today, Ishel, we're kind of doing a little bit of we're kind of forming a tradition
Welcoming
here.
the summer. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, I guess, how we've kind of done this, and it's shaping into something as an annual tradition.
Yeah, we've had maybe like 4 episodes on how to stay afloat over the summer
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, not just dropping everything and forgetting about maintaining curiosity over the summer and then setting goals for what you're going to do in the fall and maybe taking some time to explore things that you didn't have time for. And so this is maybe our fifth summer episode or so.
Maybe,
But it hasn't been 5 summers. It's just been, yeah.
It's been more than that,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. So trying to be a little intentional with how we step into the summer, a little bit of self-paced PD, I think, is what we can kind of talk about it as. And so we made I hesitate to call it a curriculum.
But you still call it a
I'll still
curriculum.
call it a curriculum because it's a diesel developed curriculum.
Plan.
Yeah. Well, so basically we just broke it down like a small thing to do over 8 weeks, each week of 8 weeks with a little bit of a different theme or a little bit of something to just try to spend 20 minutes exploring with it, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, depending on how much you have, but just, keep your brain moving a little bit. Yeah, we know we all want to turn things off if we're lucky enough to have a summer vacation. Michelle, sorry you do not. But for those of us who are lucky enough, then it's like, okay, how do we figure this out? How do we make sure that we're kind of playing around and keeping on, a little bit on top of things as things move so fast? So I think we're going to just get right into it with week number 1, the first week of your break. And again, you can choose when you start this. You can choose not to do any of this at all, but they're just ideas. So week 1, just basic AI prompting, right? Getting started with, sharing. If you haven't explored with AI, and I'm not 100% sure, people who listen to this show maybe have explored a bit more, but there are some of you who are just like to hear the ideas, but you're not sure, maybe haven't tried as much as you have intended to in the past. And so this is just pure first level. Like when you jump into a chatbot like Gemini or Claude or whatever else it is, see what happens when you start prompting it. See what you can get out of it. I just suggest maybe doing something that's just a quick lesson plan for, a book that you already use or an activity that you've already done. You could kind of say, one little trick that I think I've mentioned before is tell it what physical resources you have in the room. So whiteboards, soft, squishy cush balls kind of things, maybe whatever it is that you have, markers and things like that. Let it know, because that'll also incorporate it into it and be like, okay, you could do this and this and this, right? And so just a little bit of testing with some basic AI is the first week. Michelle, do you have
Cool.
more ideas that you would use inside of there?
Yeah, I think one way, especially for people who haven't really played with AI prompting, is to try out role-based prompts. For example, I personally like to ask for leveled material at the student skill level, so the CEFR, A1, B1, etc. But give it a prompt to create, I don't know, a paragraph or a role play or an exercise based on that level with target vocabulary, target grammar. And you had the idea here that you could ask AI to have to actually play a role. So, for example, act as an ELL student at B1 level. So then that would give you a level of vocabulary or writing. Actually, that's a great idea. I'm thinking right now what I'm going to do with my teachers that I'm going to train pretty soon. That's an excellent idea, especially for teachers who might need to evaluate student errors and they haven't been around student errors because they're pre-service teachers. That's a great idea. So thank you. So I know what I'll be exploring in my regular everyday, no summer.
Yeah, right. You got to add this on top of your regular work. Yeah, so just again, basic playing with it, right? Just see, like, if you've been thinking about doing something like asking question, trying something, it's the time to give it a try. And then once you get your kind of week one stuff and just a little bit of, this is just pure text chatbot conversation, then you had an idea for week two, which is upgrading that a little bit.
AI image generation, which I love because it's one of the ways that you can elicit language from students, and it's just a lot of fun once you get into it. It's a lot of fun. So, of course, we've talked about this before in DIESOL episode 102, so 102. You can simply explore AI image tools to create visual vocabulary support, story starters, other classroom materials that are engaging. And the one that I particularly want to explore, would recommend, is built into the Google ecosystem, which is part of Gemini, it's AI bot, but it's called Nano Banana. And just the name alone, I think, is fun. So Nano Banana. Nano Banana. And again, you'll just be using Gemini, and you could, for example, start with asking it to generate a few images for vocabulary that you teach, maybe an image that could elicit several vocabulary or target grammar. So a scene, for example. But you can use it for student-friendly images. I do like that it has safeguards for copywritten material, and also it will not generate violent or other kind of probably stuff that is unmentionable.
Yes, that's right. So
I like that.
I think there's a lot to explore with Nano Banana, things that are worth looking at, right? If you haven't played with it, the visuals are just outstanding. You can do lots of cool styles and, do editing with it right in there in the spot. So it is absolutely worth playing with and seeing what it's like for you and whether it's going to serve your purposes. And Ishel, you and I also now a year and a half ago, or maybe a year plus ago at TESOL 25, right? We did I'm going to toot our horn and say we did a really excellent session on image generation and language learning.
It's a packed house.
It was packed, and sadly,
standing room only. People sitting on the ground.
Yeah, sadly, it didn't get accepted for this year, which was too bad. And not a lot of people were talking about this, like AI image generation and language learning. And so it's still a kind of a big area to continue to explore with and see what else is going on. So 100% check out Nano Banana and or any image generation just to see what you can do and think about how you might apply deeper, not just, I mean, yes, great for building, custom content for your students, but also like what can you do that like actually creates opportunities for them to interact with these things? And that's I think the area where you and I think there's some real potential.
And actually, I just thought of another thing. I know that we've talked about in I think it's our icebreakers episode,
Mhm.
and probably the AI episode of images, creating surreal images so that students can describe them to each other. But now, instead of searching for surreal images, you can ask the AI to create that surreal image, but also include pieces that will elicit or help students generate vocabulary that you've pre-taught. So I just thought of that, and I'm gonna use it again. And yeah, that's another strategy. Okay, so we're moving on to week 3.
All right. What do you got for week 3?
AI slides,
Yeah.
AI slides. And I know we talked about this before, but two particular tools to focus on are Notebook LM,
Mm-hmm.
which we've talked about before, but now their slide option got an update, and I think you said you predicted that it would happen. So we'll give you credit for that. And
Yeah, well, I mean, it was fair. Okay, so I will say there's a prediction, but it was also fairly obvious and also not really done as well as I had hoped that it was going to be done. So yes, so the prediction was that, Notebook LM would make the slides editable, right?
Mhm.
But it's something weird happened where basically you have to kind of download it I think it had to be downloaded into PowerPoint and not over to Google Slides for some reason.
What?
Yeah, it was something really weird. So, anyways, it's still in there. It's still options for making slides, but I think I would personally suggest, yes, try Notebook LM. Keep an eye
Mhm.
on it all summer because this should still continue to be updated in the ways that we're talking about. But also,
Mhm.
if you just want something that can really build slides really well, then we still have Gamma to talk about, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so I'm going to share here just like we're looking at Gamma as an option. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, this is actually not slides. This is a document version that it made, but this is a one-page printable little uh, printout of this 8-week curriculum we're talking about. And I just put in our ideas, and it
Mhm.
formed it all nicely and made it in a size that can be printed out with quick little images, check boxes inside of there. And so Gamma can really put these together for you quite quickly if you know what you're looking for.
So again, you can use all the skills you learned with Google Slides when you were building things in 2020 during the pandemic, and now just ask Gamma to incorporate all of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So slide building can be fun, and you got a few here in a row, Ishel. I'm going to let you keep on running through.
mhm. So week 4 is listening comprehension, and this came out of solving a problem that a student had in which he had to learn to adjust his listening skills very quickly without a lot of interaction with actual um, native speakers all the time. And so he has only a very short time to do that. And I found a resource called speechling.com. I was actually surprised that I hadn't heard of it before because it seems like it's been around for a while and that hadn't come up. Um, and Speechling claims to remain free forever for
Hmm.
teachers. And I believe it is created by an educator or a team of educators, but it has several humans who have recorded audio sentences at different levels, different topics. And so a student can simply click a button. It's a very, very, very hassle-free interface. So you click a button, you hear a sentence, and then you can see what the speaker said. And so this would help a student recognize the words he's hearing and then identifying them in a sentence. So it's not about comprehension
The
in
stock
terms
market
of
made me rich.
I'm testing it right now as we're going. The
stock
stock
market
market
made
made me
some people
rich.
rich.
Yeah.
Not me. But again, the student might not know the word stock market. So once he sees it, the student now can go look it up. And they do have a dictionary option and all sorts of other things. But you can go in there and try a few listening activities at different levels, and maybe it'll help a student to to have something real instead of an AI speaker, which still they exist out there, but they're not always free and accessible. So I like this one because it doesn't have a lot of ads that pop up, and it doesn't remind you to like, hey, if you want the premium version, click here for, I don't know.
This is literally my favorite kind. I mean, you've heard me talk about it so much, but it's just like someone out there doing it because they see a need and they're just providing it for people. Like, what an awesome thing. So, speechling.com, I love it.
Yeah, you can use it for dictations, which is awesome too. Another fresh speech. So
nice.
fresh sentences.
Nice. Okay, cool. So week 1 through 4, so that's basic AI prompting, AI image generation, AI slides, and then just general listening comprehension opportunities as well. So that's pretty great. I think there's a lot to play with there and see, but we'll come back on the other side and share a few more ideas. All right, Ishel, I'm going to do a little bit of self-promotion on this one around because people keep telling me I need to promote the work that I do often on the show.
Yes.
So I'm going to take this chance to just say, hey, if you're interested, especially if today's conversation is valuable for you, I'm going to just talk briefly about the ELT Toolkit, which is available through DIESOL.org. So we just updated it. There's like a bunch, like 25 something new tools added into it. As always, you can kind of go through and filter based on, things that you're interested in. So, hey, I want to do a vocabulary class, or I want to, use it for, I need to find something that's going to help me out in my writing class. You can do all those kinds of things, depending on your budget. You can search through those as well. So the ELT Toolkit, I will be grateful if it's useful for you, and if you wanted to log in and check it out. It is available at TESOL.org/ELT-toolkit, and they're all tools that I've explored, vetted, figured out how to use them a couple ways inside of the classroom, built and vetted by an English teacher in the classroom, and that is me. So if you're interested, if you think my ideas help out a little bit, please feel free to go take a look at the tool.
Yeah, if you're not interested in any of these 8-week suggestions, you definitely need that toolkit because you can pick it up any other time and find something cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're back. Week 5 is vibe coding.
Vibe coding.
All right, we have done an episode. We intend to do an episode on vibe coding soon-ish, right? At some near point. But how would you describe vibe coding? Because we mentioned it, but maybe not everybody's aware.
It's like building an app I don't know. It's like building a program or an app and then refining it as you're going, but you're creating it yourself.
Words. That's the thing.
Words. The thing before is you had to know language to code. Now you don't. You just have to say, I want this program to do this, this, and this, and that. You test it out. Okay, now I want it to also do this. Please don't do that. And essentially, it's like magic.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So it's like, it's as though you're talking to a person right next to you and explaining to them the app that you would like for them to build or the service that you would like for them to build. And they do it right there on the spot and make something that's pretty dang quality. This is what AI can do now. And so there's definitely places to explore around with vibe coding, lots of different things going on. But Ishel, you found a couple of cool sites that are specifically around education in this conversation. So what did you find?
Yeah. So there's 2, and I haven't done a lot of vibe coding. I kind of sort of played with some of the ideas that you've mentioned before in other episodes. So I discovered that there's a whole subreddit for teachers who are vibe coding. And through there, I found 2 pretty cool tools that I want to explore myself. So one of them is vibecoding.ai edu.org, which I forgot the name of it's called AI and EDU Showcase. And they're teachers who have already built projects, I guess. What are they called? Artifacts. And each one does different things, but you can optimize certain workflows. There's demonstrations of different educational, I guess, systems. I'm thinking like high school teachers have to demonstrate the drag on a car, or there's just so much. It's just worth taking a look at what others have created. And then, of course, eventually I'll probably want to code something myself on there.
Well, that's right. And it's worth looking at it because it really opens your eyes because we kind of get stuck in like our few ideas that we have and we're like, okay, what about this? What about this? And then a version of that. And I look on this and it's like, oh, dang, like you can really make some amazing things that maybe you wouldn't have thought about on the first place. But like as you start getting inspired, by how it works, like one of these I'm just looking at was from the team that made this website is like a one-stop page for all the sessions that they had at at a conference. And so it's like, okay, well then what could I do for my class? What if I got like, my class is going to be doing a field trip and maybe I could build a quick little app that's going to help us plan for that, right? Also just little things that are, might not have been my first thought. So I really like that. And then you also had the second one, which was teachervibes.org, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I haven't looked at this one at all, but again, this is on my curriculum, week 5 curriculum. So what is teachervibes.org about?
So it has a mix of teacher resources, ideas, or it's like one of those sites that you could explore and find a few ideas that you can leave with for the following year. And again, it's all built by teachers. It's just exactly the same thing, just different interface. This one's a little bit I don't know. For me, it looks clean when you can see it on the screen. The
Yeah.
other one had a lot of bright colors and the interface has a lot of illustrations. But again, if you like one over the other, then make it something that you use. And one of the things that I recently tried doing with vibe coding is I'm a huge fan of Adventure Time, the show. That show is like, I love that show. But anyway, what I wanted, I will start talking too long about it. I wanted a trivia page of all the different I wanted like a game, a trivia game where you can find obscure details about each Adventure Time character. So that just tells you what a big nerd I am. And yes, I could do it myself because I own all the seasons and I could rewatch them and put them together. But now it created a little app where you can simply click on the character and it'll also give you a quote because I asked it, oh, I want facts and I also want like a quote, one of the quotable quotes from the show. One of my friends and I had this thing going where who can create the most obscure trivia for Adventure Time.
Oh,
So I tried to take a shortcut. Hey, you're like that with some
oh yeah,
Radio
yeah,
Star
sure.
Wars fan. It's like you're a music geek.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. I mean, there's places we should all be
Like horror
nerdy on
film.
some
Yeah.
levels. Yeah, for sure.
So mine is Adventure Time.
Yeah. So cool. So there are things inside of there. I don't know how we got talking about Adventure Time, but
Students can create trivia for the topic that they're discussing and then see if they can stump their classmates.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good.
There's plenty of things they can do.
Yeah, 100%. So lots of cool things to explore there. And again, vibe coding, that could be your whole summer alone. Like some people I know, like I've done a little introductions and I've done some sessions and people are just like, I lost a whole week just doing this stuff and building, it's not lost, but like, they just went down the rabbit hole for sure. So vibe coding's great. And so we're going from high tech to low tech, Michelle. What's your next one?
To low tech to no tech. And the next one is straight out of episode 137, which is an interview with Sarah Davila.
Mm-hmm.
No, Davila.
This is even your language and the last time we had a problem because I kept wanting to stress the wrong part.
Yeah, but there's no freaking accent mark. That throws me off. So it's Sarah's resource page, and that's at sarahdavila.com.
Yes.
She's got tons of material that she just has available for free. And of course, if you've heard her speak or if you heard our episode, you watched our episode, there's just so many ideas out there. And she just made it accessible for teachers who have low availability to technology and maybe even bandwidth to search her site. So a lot of it is based around creative thinking, which is excellent. So it's not just your regular handouts. They're with a purpose and she's cleaned them up over time, made them pretty. And so she offers that all for free, which I think it's as far as I know, an underutilized resource within my circles. So
sure.
I would love to share this one out again and again and again and again.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. Go back, listen to the last episode. We talked with her, and then you can go in just this library section alone. There's so much stuff you can play with and kind of use and then customize to your own needs. So, and then her work, even though she's very techy as well, like this is really meant to be just accessible to everybody no matter what level you've got access to. So
yeah, and she created those to make sure that students would have speaking opportunities in a realistic scenario. So that's again more value added.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so my
Week
next one
seven.
here,
Week
and
seven.
week seven, as you're getting towards the end of the summer, is you might start putting together some ideas for actual things you're doing in class. So you're like trying to do a little bit of research, kind of going back to the old days of, grad school and making sure that you're sound for everything. Of course, we should all be doing this as teachers. And so Research Rabbit is I have not used it at all. I've only heard people talk about it. And so I can't
Mm.
speak to it very much, but essentially it's an AI built around finding research on the topics of things that you're interested in, right? And so if of course you've used databases out there and you're searching through and you kind of go through you go through Eric and then you go through the JSTOR and you go through all these different resources, and it's like you kind of find something that's around what you're looking for, and it just takes time to search. And so what it does inside of Research Rabbit is it helps you kind of figure out your ideas, how they're connected. It visualizes lots of different things. It's really well used by big institutions and all sorts of groups like that. So again, if you're kind of trying to do your research, making sure that your projects are pedagogically sound for your students, I think Research Rabbit is a growing resource and becoming more and more popular for a lot of people who are trying to find, especially for well, not especially, but like there is a group of teachers who are going, oh yeah, hold on a second, I can make sure, and then make sure that my ideas are sound and not just something that feels like it's a good idea.
Very cool. I'm actually interested in checking that out
Yeah.
because I'm always asking you, hey, Brent, can you find this one for me? Can you find this
that's
article and get it for me?
Yeah, so I'm lucky enough to be at a place that has, our library has access to databases and those kinds of stacks, and so I can often get a lot of these tools, but not everybody can, and so maybe
Yeah,
there are some ways through here as well to
that
kind
you
of
can.
find them at least to get started.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. And then week 8. Maybe I should have put this at like week 1, because if you got
Yeah,
into
because this is the one that takes the most effort.
takes the most time, right? You're like, oh, I'm done, I'm out of time. So you can rearrange this to fit your schedule the best way. If week 8's not the best time to do this, but we said video recordings, right? I think we're just going to see more need for flipped classes, especially in the world of AI, where people are going to say, hey, I want to make sure that I'm giving the lecture stuff, on video, and then I'm doing the classwork in class, right? Like the actual work in class. So we're, if you have never made videos before, it can be as simple as logging into Zoom and just clicking record on yourself and doing the share screen. It can get much, much, much more complicated if you want to get into tools like ScreenFlow or online services like, you and I, Ishel, are struggling with it right now, but
Riverside. If you're listening, we want to love you, but our relationship is on thin ice right now.
Problematic, yeah. But again, anything you're using, right? Like we've talked way in the past about just like using the video on your phone, right? And using the
DIESOL episode 41.
Yeah, just basic ways to do things. Or if you're using Clips, like that Clips app, or the Google equivalent to Clips, where you're just kind of recording yourself, you get the automated subtitles together with it. So lots of different ways to use video, and I think that it still continues to intimidate people to say like, hey, now I've got to make all these videos, and me too, right? It's a lot of work. It can be,
of course.
And so maybe can you give yourself half an hour to an hour just to check out a tool and see if maybe that'll work for you? What if you just kind of did a rough bare bones version of something that was just simple to get started? Maybe you become more professional in a couple of years as you've played with things, but you don't have to have that high level. And in fact, I'd argue that a lot of students are quite used to very casual video. Like that's what they watch on their phones, right? Is just like talking head videos. I'm just going to hold up my phone and record myself right now, and whatever I say, that's what's going out. So like people don't need the high polish that we maybe a certain generation of teacher thinks that like, oh, we need to polish this and make it really nice all the time.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's 8 weeks of things to explore, and we also do have that Gamma sheet printable, and it's on our show notes, so you can go access it.
Download it
at diesel.org/138, right? All right.
It is time for our fun finds.
Woo! All right.
And I'm going to share the YouTube channel by Aperture. Have you ever heard of
Mhm.
Aperture?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Aperture, uh, it's this guy talking to you about philosophy, psychology, theories, I don't know, quantum physics and multiple timelines, and he explains things in a way that you'll understand them.
Geez. Like,
Hey,
well, sorry, hold
I
on. Let people see why I'm laughing is as I pull this up, the For You section, the first one says, "You shouldn't be alive." And then the second one is a absolutely crazy monster looking face that says, "The voice in your head." And then the last one is the psychology of why people disappear.
That's because he's got to get you hooked, right? But look at the others, the deep dives, man. Look at the under videos, the second one.
This is terrifying. Is oh,
So,
the eight great philosophical theories you need to know. You are the universe, right? Quantum. I like the stoicism. No, this actually does look really interesting. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be teasing you.
so
It's just
let
algorithms are getting.
let me finish. I would have said
All right, go ahead.
that those of you who know me well know that I have insomnia. So
Mm.
this does not add to my insomnia. It actually helps me to go to sleep.
Oh, good.
So
Did you
instead
watch
of
this
an
one?
episode,
I refuse to lose my mind.
I did. Actually, it's not what you think. So go watch it.
All right.
And this is about AI. This is about living in a world of AI and how it's degrading our critical thinking skills. So you need to go watch that. That's
For
on my
sure.
curriculum for you on.
Don't worry, I am very aware of that problem.
Yeah. So again, they're very nerdy topics, but he's also very handsome and a good speaker. So there you go. There's that.
Ooh, okay, I got it. So getting a little fancy with it. Cool. Aperture. That's Aperture Thinking if you go to YouTube
Mm.
for that. Very cool. All right. So mine is a shift. So I've talked a little bit about trying to get out of the Amazon ecosystem. And so one of the ways I haven't bought this yet. So again, this is kind of a pre-fun find, but I think this is where I'm going, which is the Pocketbook, which is, an equivalent to a Kindle because Kindle has announced that on May 20th, they're going to brick all of their old
Hmm.
Kindles. And actually, I posted about this on LinkedIn and it got a real surprising amount of responses, especially from people who don't follow me. They're just like into Kindle or into ebook
Yeah.
conversations. And so, anyways, I really looked around at the different choices. A lot of them were still just tied to major corporations. So it's like the Barnes and Nobles or the Rakuten or whatever.
Mm.
And I was like, well, this one here is just its own company. And it's still kind of like, I mean, it's seems fairly big, but it's still indie and it takes all sorts of different formats. So like I can
Mm.
actually offload the books from my current Kindle and just sideload them straight into the Pocketbook. And I think I'm looking at the Verse Pro, which is kind of, I think maybe equivalent to the Paperwhite. And so anyways, if you see this here, it's just a simple machine and it's really designed by readers and people who love reading digitally on these formats. And so simple, clean, clear, and meant to be updatable, meant to be kind of accessible. So lots of cool features built into it. The only thing is that this is Swiss made, and so to buy it, I think pretty much still have to buy it through Amazon
Bummer.
to get out of the ecosystem. So you got to dance with the devil to get away from the devil. Like
It's sort of like you have to pay a fee when you move out of California because California was so expensive, but you have to pay a moving fee.
Yes, that's going on. Anyways, but I am looking forward to this because my Kindle did last a real long time. I mean, I do have to say it was an excellent piece of technology. And there's no reason that Amazon should be blocking not willing to support it anymore. It's so simple and so basic. And so like with a company like this, it's like, hey, I don't want to worry about it. Whatever I own is what I own. Because remember also, a lot of people forget that Kindle can absolutely at any time choose to go in and take away books that you bought because you didn't buy it, you licensed it from them. And so they can take that away from you, even though you paid, and they can go in and they can change the words, right? Like they've done that for censorship reasons. And, like we don't like the original language of, some of these Mark Twain books. And so because of that, we're going to go in and change the language and kind of, and that's that's censorship, right? And so
Right.
these companies can come in and do that stuff, which is really frightening, and I don't want to be involved with that either. So here we go. I am moving toward Pocketbook.
Good question.
Mhm.
What's the price point?
It's about the same. I think the Pocketbook is like $150 or something like that. Not super different, maybe a little bit
Okay.
more because it's not built out on as massive a scale, I think. I mean,
Mm.
obviously Kindle, and Amazon subsidize so much of it with all their other things. But yeah, roughly in that same zone. There are other choices out there. A lot of people gave me, they're like, oh, do this one or just use the iPad. But I was like, I'm really looking for a single purpose e-reader that doesn't put me
Mm-hmm.
into like a bunch of other apps and other things. I
Mm-hmm.
just like only reading books for the most part. And so this seems to be the one that I am most interested in.
All right, we'll have to reach back and see how it goes when
Yeah.
you get it. All right, for the show notes and other episodes, check out diesel.org/138. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram at DieselPod.
You can find me out there mostly on LinkedIn at Brent G. Warner, but I am on some of the other places as well.
And you can find me at ixy_pixie_. That's IXY_PIXY_.
Ooh, all right. So thanks to everybody. You can download the heavy duty one page curriculum for all of this, the website, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. So thank you so much for listening to the Diesel podcast, and we will see you soon. Goodbye.